bookish friends, I hope you are well. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. I figured I was going to do something a little bit different, and I'm so excited to do this video and to see how it goes and to see if you guys enjoy it as well. So this is going to be episode 1 of TBR Graveyard. Now, the idea behind this video is for the first 5 months of the year, January up to May, I have set myself a TBR that I picked from my trusty TBR jar. So I put loads of books that are on my were on my TBR, put them in there, and each month we would pick 8 books. I started out the year quite well, and it's just kind of dwindled a bit, and the last couple of months I've been in a bit of a slump. So I've given myself a break from the jar. You would have already seen my summer TBR video, and that's what I'm going to do for the next couple of months, just so that I can kind of mood read and go with the flow, rather than kind of be restricted to the books that I've picked from the jar. Now, obviously, there was books left over in each month from my TBR that I did not get to, and those books went to the TBR Graveyard. And we are in the TBR Graveyard today, and I'm going to show you the books that are on the TBR Graveyard that we're going to try and get through. So from January, there was 8 picks in total, and there were 2 books that I did not finish. So I read 6 out of the 8, and the 2 that I did not finish was The Distant Echo by Val McDermid and Salem's Lot by Stephen King. These were the 2 chunky books on my TBR for that month. Then for February, I had a much better month in February. I think that's been my best reading month of the year so far. And I managed 7 out of the 8 from my TBR picks. And the only one I didn't get to was My Summer of Magic Moments by Caroline Roberts. And then for March, there should be another one on this list. So I read 4 out of the 8, I believe, from my March picks. But one of them I've taken off this and I've added that into my summer TBR. So the 3 that we were left with was Son of Escobar Firstborn by Roberto Sendoya Escobar. Then we had The Cake Shop in the Garden by Carol Matthews, and The No-Show by Beth O'Leary. And then for April, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 here. I only read 2 in April out of the 8 that I picked. There is one that is not here. It's currently up here because I am reading it. It's just, for some strange reason, it has taken me so long to get through. So I kind of keep putting it down and then just picking it up now and again and getting through it, you know? Which seems to be working with it. So that we're going to leave that one. That's fine. So for April, these are the books that we did not get to. And that is Revenge by James Patterson, The Whistling by Rebecca Netley, The Shadow Friend by Alex North, The Worst Best Man by Lucy Score, and The Bookshop on the Shore by Jenny Colgan. And then finally for May, now out of the 8 that I picked for May, I read 1. I read 1. I DNF'd 1. And I started another one. And again, that's up here. And I'm just going to continue and I'm just going to finish that one off because I am enjoying that one. So I have 4 here, and the 5th one, again, I've taken that out of here and I've put it off into my summer TBR. So we're left with 4 for the month of May, and those 4 are Go the Distance, and this one is by Jen Calonita. It's part of the Disney Twisted Tales. We have The Mirror Man by Lars Kepler. We have Siege by Simon Koenig. And we finally have Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. So, these are all of the books that are part of the TBR Graveyard. Now, we are going to try and do in this little vlog, this is, like I said before, this is episode 1 of this vlog. I realise I've been talking for quite a bit, so I'm quickly going to wrap this up, and we are then going to choose, and I haven't decided yet how we're going to choose, but we're going to choose maybe 3 or 4 books from the TBR Graveyard for this episode, and we are going to read those books. Yeah, let's see what happens. Let's see where we get to. I'm back, and I've chosen the books that we are going to read for this first episode. I've chosen 2 of them. I got my husband to choose one, and I got my brother-in-law to choose one. So the 2 that I have chosen to go for is Go the Distance, part of the Disney Twisted Tales. Caroline Roberts' My Summer of Magic Moments. My husband chose Val McDermid, The Distant Echo. And my brother-in-law chose Son of Escobar. So that's my little stack that I'm going to be reading in this little first episode vlog. There we go. And yeah, join me along the way. I'll give you some updates, and I'll let you know which one I choose first. I think I might go with Go the Distance first. Yeah, I'm going to start this one, and I will give you some updates when I'm probably about 100 pages in. I originally started this vlog about 8 days ago with every intention of, you know, filming as I went, filming as I read, and surprise, surprise, that didn't happen. I have not picked up the camera once. I have not filmed a single thing, but I have been reading, so I thought I would give you a little update on where we're at. Obviously I had my little stack of books that I'd chosen to do for this vlog, and the first one I decided to start with was Go the Distance by Jen Calonita. So it's part of the Disney Twisted Tales, and obviously, as you can tell, this one follows Hercules, or the story, and the characters from Hercules, and this is all about Meg. And Hercules has done his thing. He's now becoming a god. He's going to go off to Mount Olympus to be with Mummy and Daddy Dearest. Obviously, Meg cannot join. She is a mortal, and Zeus does not want her there. So just right at the beginning, they're going to be torn apart before it's even started. But Hera decides to give Meg a quest. Now, Meg has 10 days to complete this quest. If she can do it, Hera will make her a goddess. So that's kind of basically what the whole book is about. I enjoyed it. I read a huge chunk of it all in one day. Gave it 4 stars. I think I've given most of the Disney Twisted Tales 4 stars, maybe a few 4.5s. But they're always, once you're in them, they're always a good time because they're obviously such familiar characters, but we get to see them in such a different light, hence the reason why they're kind of twisted. So yeah, that was the first one I read, and I really enjoyed that one. Now this one wasn't actually on the little list of the books that I chose for this particular vlog, but it is, I'm going to talk about it because it was part of my TBR for last month and I didn't finish it. So I read the first 40% last month in May. So technically it did kind of, you know, it's been hovering about in the TBR Graveyard, and I just decided I was going to pick this up and finish it. So I've read the other 60% yesterday and today. These are quite, James Patterson books, always quite fast paced. This one is with, he's written it with Andrew Burrell, I think that's how you say his name, and this one is Texas Ranger. So I think it's part of, there's definitely 2 books, but I don't know if it's going to become like a series or if they're planning on writing any more. So this is obviously the first one, and I enjoyed it. It was a good storyline. The main guy, the Texas Ranger, though, I have to say he really got on my nerves, and he was making such bad decisions. And I know emotions were high and the stakes were high, and you know, and I get that, but there was just parts of it that I was just like, oh no, you're giving me the ick. So I gave this one 3.75, which is quite low for a James Patterson, because normally when obviously he's one of my favourite authors of all time, and normally with quite a lot of these other series like the Alex Cross series, Women's Murder Club, NYPD Red, I mostly give 5 stars or like 4.5s. So yeah, it's the kind of newer stuff that I'm struggling with a little bit more. I'm not enjoying it as much. And I actually DNF'd my first James Patterson ever last month, and I was bitterly disappointed. But it was a really, really old one of his. So I think that's made, there was just something that happened in it that I just couldn't get past it. I couldn't look past it. And I knew I wasn't going to enjoy it if I carried on reading. So I gave up. I DNF'd it. Anyway, back to these books. I'm now 60 pages into Son of Escobar Firstborn. This is quite a short one. It's just over 200 pages. I don't know if how true this is. I don't know if he really is Escobar's son. I mean, he's obviously claiming to be, because this is his autobiography. But I'm really enjoying it so far. And obviously I won't rate it because it is an autobiography, and I don't like rating, you know, someone's life like it's, you know. But I am enjoying it, and I think now that I'm in it, it's going to be quite a quick, fast-paced read, because even though it is an autobiography, it's reading like an episode of Narcos. So yeah, it's kind of cool. So that's where I'm at so far. Hopefully I can finish that one within the next day or 2, and then I think I'm going to get started on The Distant Echo by Val McDermid, which is a bit of a chonker. This one is like over 500 pages, I think. Yeah, 561 pages. So that's the next one that I'm going to do. I will do my best to try and give you a bit of an update and not leave it 8 more days. But yeah, that's all from me, and I will be back probably when I finish this. Time for an update. It's been a hot minute, as they say, since I filmed for this vlog or picked up the camera, anything like that. I kind of stopped this vlog and picked up and did another vlog. I did my reading popular fantasy books, which has already gone up, so you would have already seen that, so I'll link that down below. But I thought I would give you an update on where we're at in the TBR Graveyard. So I think when I last spoke to you, I was a little bit of the way through Son of Escobar, Firstborn by Roberto Sandoya Escobar. I have obviously finished this book since then. I really enjoyed it. I have no idea how true any of this is. But it did read like a... There was something in my mouth. It did read like an episode of Narcos. It was so much fun. So I did have a good time reading this, and it was quite short. It wasn't too long at all. Obviously, I am not giving this a rating because this is like a memoir, autobiography type book. This is, you know, someone's life story, and I have no business rating somebody's life. So I finished another book. I finished that one. And I did make a start on The Distant Echo by Val McDermid. This is my very first Val McDermid book. I've never read her writing before. This is a very old book, and it's like falling apart. But I am almost halfway. I think I've got about 30 more pages or so, and I'll be halfway. I'm actually enjoying this. The writing is easy to follow. The setting is great. And I'm intrigued to keep reading, even though it is obviously a chonker. I am intrigued to keep reading, and I want to know what's happening. This story is set in Scotland, and basically we are following 4 students stumble across a body one very snowy evening in December, and the body is of a young girl. She has obviously been murdered. I would say obviously check trigger warnings or anything in case things like that disturb you. Then I probably wouldn't suggest reading it. But obviously they are witnesses, but they are treated as suspects. And this story is all about kind of the first half of it so far has been about like the actual event and the aftermath of the event. And now we've just got to part 2 of the book, where it's now 30 years later, and they've opened a team is opening up all of these old cold cases and trying to solve them. And that's basically where we're at, or where I'm at. So I'm intrigued to see if we can finally find out who killed poor Rosie Duff all those years ago. So yeah, I'm gonna hopefully finish another chunk of this today, but I think I'll definitely be done. I'm reading a little bit slower, especially this particular book, but I'm hoping I'll definitely be done before the end of the week. And then I've only got one more, sorry, I'm just going to grab it off my cart. We've only got one more book for this video, which is going to be My Summer of Magic Moments by Caroline Roberts. So hopefully I can crack on with this, get some more of it done, and then maybe give you an update when I'm finished and I've started this. So let's see how I get on. It's time for my final update and for me to finish out this vlog. I'm actually quite pleased of the stack of books that I managed to get through. So in my last clip, I think I had started this, or I was starting it, I can't quite remember. This is a bit of a chonker. It was 561 pages. It took me all week to read this book. It was good. I enjoyed it. But for some reason, it just took me so long to get through. Like, it didn't feel I think the pacing was off a little bit. Obviously, this was my first Val McDermid book. I really like her writing. I would quite happily read more of her books. And I do get, like, the whole plot of the story. Obviously, this is regarding an event that took place 25 years ago. A young woman, Rosie Duff, was killed 25 years ago, and 4 students stumbled across her body, and they are the main suspects. And, like, the first 300 or more pages is all, like, it's all character development. That's what it is. And I understood why she did it, because by the end I did care about some of the characters, not all of the characters. But, like, then all the action and the main plot was, like, in the last 200 odd pages. That bit felt much quicker towards the end. But overall, this was good. I actually guessed right from the off who the killer was. But nonetheless, I still did enjoy it, and I have given this 4 stars. And I then went on to my final book that I chose originally for this TBR Graveyard episode, and that was My Summer of Magic Moments by Caroline Roberts. This was really heartwarming. I really enjoyed this. I read this really quickly. It was only 360 pages. And I read this within, like, a day. We follow in this Claire. Claire is a cancer survivor. She is a journalist. And it's just her journey of survival, and she starts writing this kind of article, and it's called Magic Moments, and it kind of takes off, and there's just a lot of people sharing what their magic moments are. And there was a little subplot of romance as well. I've read another Caroline Roberts book before, and I enjoyed that one, but it didn't blow me away. And this was the same. It was good, it was cozy, it was just what I needed, but it wasn't, like, amazing. So 3.5 stars I have given that one. So we did not do too bad for my first episode of TBR Graveyard. So just as a recap, we read by Jen Calonita Go the Distance, which is part of the Disney Twisted Tales. I gave that one 4 stars. That was really good. I read Texas Ranger by James Patterson and Andrew Burrell. This is the first book in, at the moment, I think it's a duology. I enjoyed it. Wasn't my favourite. I gave it a 3.75. So those are 2 of the books that I chose to read. My brother-in-law picked Son of Escobar by Roberto Sendoya Escobar. I enjoyed this one. I have no idea how true it is. It read like an episode of Narcos. So if you've seen Narcos, you might enjoy this book. And again, this one doesn't get a rating because it's someone's life experience, so we don't do that. Then my husband picked The Distant Echo by Val McDermid. I've obviously just given you my thoughts on this one, 4 stars. And then finally the 3.5 for My Summer of Magic Moments. So I am really pleased. We managed 5. 1, 2, 3. I have to double check then. We managed 5 books for this little vlog, for this video, and for my first episode of TBR Graveyard. So these are all now off my physical TBR, and I'm very happy. And I really enjoyed actually getting to these books. And I feel a sense of accomplishment at actually finishing them. So I will be doing another episode of TBR Graveyard, and you can look out for that soon. But for now, that's it from me, and I will see you in whatever comes next.